So welcome to Let's Talk Business with Laura Nowlin and Dr. Gobian. Dr. Gobian could not be here with us this show, and she's going to be missing it because here we have Walter Carey with U.S. Bank. He's actually our goal setter, right? Our mentor that we've been looking up to. So Dr. Gobian is really sorry that she missed this show and that she was not here with us. But welcome.
Thank you so
Walt,
much, Laura.
thank you so much. Do you want me to call you Walter or Walt?
Please call me Walt.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So tell me, how long have you been with U.S. Bank?
Yeah, so great question again. And Laura, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. I joined U.S. Bank in October 2019, right before the pandemic, right before the world went a little haywire, if you will. Came over from the B2B space, so said differently, I worked directly for a business consulting firm here in town, a global firm that actually had a global footprint in 64 countries. I was a managing partner and director and also maintained my own book of business, a portfolio of business clients I worked with here locally and globally as well. And most importantly, I love sharing this, is I'm a 20-year active duty Air Force veteran and retired here at Nellis Air Force Base in 2014.
No, thank you so much for your service.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And so what made you to go to US Bank? So this was back during COVID.
Yeah.
2019 you said?
Yeah,
right when it
absolutely.
started?
So as I mentioned, I made the transition from the military sector, if you will, into the civilian life of business consulting. Said differently again, I wanted to leverage my education, my degrees in business, my undergrad as well as an MBA that I have as well. So I was looking for opportunities in making that transition into the civilian sector and came across this opportunity at a global firm here in town to start as kind of like that apprentice, at the lowest level, if you will, and then climbed the ranks and then got to a point to where I wanted to do more, specifically in the local community. I also wanted to build my financial and business banking acumen. So came across this opportunity with U.S. Bank, and the rest has been history since 2019. And of course, some other things that had happened shortly after, with the pandemic. So
Yeah. So you're with U.S. Bank. Tell us your role, which I love your role.
Right.
Tell the audience, what is it that you do for U.S. Bank?
Yeah. So in short, the very high level and the distinctive nomenclature or name of the role is business goals coach. So what I do is I work directly with business owners, that belly to belly, knee to knee like this, and helping business owners identify those personas and behaviors that they need to align and adopt, and then marry those personas and behaviors to tactile measures in order to achieve their goals. Quite naturally, with my 20 years in the Air Force, the accountability component is key, and that shows up as well in coaching. As we both know, and us having the opportunity to work together, the difference between being a consultant, which I was prior to joining the bank, was I was giving the fish to the business owner, so to speak. Now as a coach, I'm teaching them how to fish, right? And I think it goes deeper to that empowerment, right? That business owner, that solopreneur, he or she feels that sense of like vigor and empowerment, as I mentioned earlier, which aligns with our mantra at the bank, is powering that human potential. And helping them discover that human potential that maybe they didn't believe they had as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about what a business coach does, okay? Because sometimes I know that even Dr. Gobian, she's like, I thought he was going to help me like do things.
Right.
It's like, no, I go, he's more like a sounding board, right? Because sometimes we have things as an entrepreneur in our head. Well, not sometimes. We have a lot of things going on in our head, right? As an entrepreneur. Most average entrepreneur, even while they're sleeping, they're actually still thinking of what's next, what's coming, right?
Correct.
And so when you think things in your head, clarity's there in your head.
Right.
But once you say it out loud, it's like, why did I just say that?
Right. Absolutely.
So tell me, how can you describe best a business coach, like what you're doing?
I think you highlighted it too. One key component is that sounding board, right? And I share this with the the client that I'm working with, and letting them know this is a safe environment.
Yes.
Everything we discuss is 100% confidential between you and I. What's also awesome about my role, so to speak, is that I'm not a banker in the sense to where the customer feels like they're being positioned for a product or service directly from the bank, right? As we begin that journey and work together, should we identify a need to bring in that subject matter expert from U.S. Bank then we'll do so with that
Right.
client's or with that customer's permission, so to speak. But then to wrap up in answering your question, I think it's just helping them see the forest through the trees often, right? And you and I have shared this mantra, this saying is, what gets measured gets done.
Right.
And when the CEO has the measurements or the dashboard and knows how success is defined through he or she's lens, she then evolves and gets to a point to where she's no longer working in the business, but then working on it to grow, right? And creating those systems.
And so right now, tell us how much U.S. Bank charges for these.
So this is the shocker, right?
Right?
100% complimentary. And that's what I love about the resource in itself. It is free, right? And also, there's no stipulation or requirement for the client that I work with to be a U.S. Bank banking customer.
Right.
Right? You can bank at, one of the other four, top tier financial institutions or a credit union here in town and still leverage the resource in itself. I love that because that shows truly the congruency with, again, like I mentioned, our mantra at the bank is powering that human potential. Should we earn the right to be your financial institution, then we'll be happy to do so. But if it's just business goals coaching that you need through those 6 structured touch points, getting to a point to where we can remove the training wheels and you're off on your own, and maybe we reconnect every 12 weeks, every quarter, and have a review. That's all we ask.
That's such a blessing. It's such a blessing that you would be able to provide that service to our community. That's huge.
Correct.
And so now you guys work very closely with the Vegas Chamber.
That is correct.
So
Yes, ma'am.
tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so again, going back to around the time frame of when I joined the bank in October of 2019, we were excited about this program. It was new. Like not a lot of financial institutions were providing this intangible resource from a B2B and B2C standpoint, also working with the consumer. Right? So we were, putting together strategies and having think tanks and all that great stuff, and then wow, pandemic hits.
Right.
So our leader at the time, a gentleman that was leading the Las Vegas market for U.S. Bank, had an amazing relationship with Mary Beth Seawald. We're there at the chamber. And the two of them got to discussing and saying, okay, with this shift, right, with the pandemic happening, how can we as a financial institution partner with with the Vegas Chamber to then provide resources, whether that be financial literacy, workshops, things of that nature, and then again doing that within boundaries and guardrails, meaning Zoom and virtual.
Right,
how do we show up with the 6 feet of distance and so forth, right? So I think that was great. And what I found during that time frame through all of us, not just me on this side of the table, but the business owner as well, was necessity became the mother of reinvention. I'll say that again. A lot of business owners during the unknown had to reinvent not only their value proposition, their business model, their clientele base, maybe the platform, how they delivered said goods, with all the restrictions that were mandated. And it almost felt like every week there was a new curveball. There was a new mandate. There was a new approach. So then we had to take those proverbial 2 steps back with the client and then in order to make 6 forward. And I think when you don't know what you don't know and you're traveling through the unknown, having that metaphoric flashlight by your side, having that business goals coach, and not just me again. Yes, I'm one of many resources at the bank, but my amazing partners, right? At the bank, those subject matter experts were there to support the men and women that were just, trying to navigate, whether it was triple P loans, what you can and what you can't do, and so on and so forth.
No, that's amazing because during COVID, I think the average business owner felt they were startups all over again.
Exactly.
And then some regulation would change. It's like, oh, pivot. It's like we became pivoting experts, right?
Right.
On how to pivot and how to move really rapid to change. And those are the businesses that are still alive right now.
Absolutely.
And so it's great that you guys partnered with the Vegas Chamber. That's actually how we met.
That is how we met.
So Walt has been my coach. And what's another thing that they offer is that they will coach also your team.
That is correct.
So let's talk a little bit about that. I
Yeah.
love that you're able to do that because I know that when we were first meeting, I'm like, well, I haven't been able to accomplish everything that I said by the next week. And then you offered to then also meet with my teammates.
That is correct.
That was huge.
That was huge. And I think, again, that was uncovered when you and I sat down and we did our SWOT analysis. So for those that are listening, the viewers, a SWOT analysis is a simple exercise where we identify your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats externally, whether that be looking at, from a 30,000-foot overview of the business overall or the actual CEO or founder.
Right.
In this case, we did both. We looked
Yes.
at both, and I love that we were able to do that together. Through that SWOT analysis, one of the opportunities, and I won't say a weakness, but more so an opportunity, was for us to work even more deeper with your C-suite. with your team leads and things of that nature. So again, the cadence in itself was, for example, ladies and gentlemen, I would meet with Miss Laura, if I may call you Miss Laura,
absolutely.
maybe that's the military
No,
in me,
no.
on the first week of the month. And the other 3 weeks were dedicated solely to her director of sales or chief operating officer, so on and so forth, right? And then circling back with you at the business owner. I think, again, that provided you the opportunity to focus on the things that you were good at. Focus on the things that you deemed as a priority. Not to say that these other things weren't, right? But then also there was a line of demarcation where I could coach them through you, and I was a voice through you, right? But making sure that oftentimes maybe some people need to hear a second opinion.
Right.
You know what I
Right,
mean? It's
yes.
not just Miss Laura telling me what to do, and I'm echoing the point. And there were
Right.
instances where I said, well, how about you ask Miss Laura this question, right? And empowering them to, again, get to that common alignment with the goal, you being the leader.
No, definitely. And I will tell you that during COVID, when we expanded into Texas,
Yes.
we actually hired a business coach to help us. And let me tell you, it wasn't free.
Yes.
Very expensive to actually maintain someone to be
Yes,
able to
ma'am.
meet with your team. And when you guys offered that, I was just so impressed. I'm like, wow, and it's not going to cost me anything but our time.
Correct.
So what a blessing. We're going to go ahead and go to commercial, and we'll be right back, and we'll talk a little bit more about what U.S. Bank offers. Introducing See Us Now Staffing, led by yours truly, Laura Nowlin. As the founder and president, I bring over 17 years of expertise in sourcing for talent, building winning teams of professionals, marketing, and workforce development. At See Us Now Staffing, we're not just a staffing agency. We're your strategic partner in building a winning team of professionals for your business. My passion for community service extends to connecting entrepreneurs with local resources. Recognized by the Small Business Administration as the 2022 Nevada Family-Owned Business of the Year, we're not just changing the workforce landscape, we're defining it.
Hello folks, this is Mac Jackson Jr. from Vanderson Cyber Group. The problem with businesses today is that they are affected by cyber attacks from around the world, but companies are not sure of what to do. Normally, they are reactive instead of proactive. But folks, cyber attacks can affect your bottom line, and it will affect you financially, legally, and your business reputation. Here at Vanderson Cyber Group, we can help you develop a policy by training your employees on what to do if they are involved in a cyber attack and how to mitigate it and fight against it. Folks, we call it here #StayCyberWoke. And that's Vanderson Cyber Group here in Las Vegas and around the world. You can reach me, folks, at vandersoncybergroup.com or my website, macjacksonjrjr.com as well. Here locally, 702-868-0808. Give us a call today, folks. We must fight back.
Hello, this is Dr. Kovian. I am a naturopath or a doctor in natural medicine, a holistic practitioner, and I specialize in uncovering the root causes of your symptoms of health problems. How do I do that? Well, I use the electromagnetic resonance technology, same thing that CAT scan and MRI uses in the hospital. And once I know what's the root cause, through natural solutions such as teas, soups, smoothies, I'll give you the recipes for you to empower your own body's healing mechanisms so that you will heal or prevent any future health problems. You can reach me out here in Las Vegas. My number is 702-365-8000, or you can look for Balance, Salud y Vida. I have a website, I have social media, but 702-365-8000 is the best way to reach out to me. I will help you better your health, prevent any illness, increase your energy levels, reduce inflammation, pain. You will feel amazing. It will be a pleasure to serve you.
So welcome back to Let's Talk Business with Laura Nowlin and Dr. Govian. Once again, Dr. Govian is missing the show. She's not able to be here today, but we have our coach with us here from U.S. Bank, Walt, Carey. So thank you so much again for being here with us. And so if we could talk a little bit about how someone can register to be able to get the service from U.S. Bank, because in all reality, they don't have to bank with you guys.
That's correct. That's correct. So again, there's two approaches you can take. You can either email me directly at walter.carey, that's C-A-R-E-Y, at usbank.com. And definitely reach out to me, and we can schedule some time and align availability. But as I was mentioned during the break to Laura, you can also see the entire canvas of the program and our initiatives and everything else that we're doing at U.S. Bank with this intangible resource, both on the B2B side and the B2C side, or on the consumer side, at usbank.com/explore my goals.
Do they already have to have a business then in order for them to meet with you, or maybe they just have an idea?
That's
or
a
like
great
you
question.
said, business coach to pretty much the general public. So,
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think that's a common misconception that I get. As a matter of fact, the other day I had someone say, you know what, hey, Walt, I'm not joking. I was at a happy hour here locally, and I have a business plan on a napkin.
Yeah.
I said, okay, that's interesting. That's a first, right? To answer your question, ma'am, and to those that are listening in the audience, no, you don't have to have an official registered business.
Okay.
It could be that idea. And I love, again, working with those that are in that beginning stage with that metaphoric idea on a napkin. And let's flesh it out. And I take them through the same process, whether you're at the tail end, a succession plan, a baby boomer who's looking to sell their business, or one that's, I got a business model on on a napkin. Let's go through the SWOT analysis. Let's start there, because as you and I both know, the SWOT analysis is that foundation to us creating that action plan.
And then let's talk a little bit about the SWOT analysis a little bit more in detail, because I think it would be helpful. How often should someone do a SWOT analysis?
Honestly, it's highly recommended and encouraged every quarter. I strongly believe in looking at that, definitely, because again, you don't want to just do that SWOT analysis initially because it was mandated in your business plan, and then your business plan is on the shelf and you don't see it again for another 5 years. No, but again, in all seriousness, I think looking at that dashboard, so to speak, or that, what gets measured gets done, that's always going to be moving and evolving, as you mentioned earlier. So every 12 weeks, every quarter.
Right, and then sometimes even when you're coming up with a new idea.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, hey, I just want to start a cafe. You're a staffing company. What are you thinking? All right, let's do that SWOT
let's do
analysis.
the
Let's
SWOT
go through this process. Oh, dang it sound good, Walt, but you know what? We're not going that direction.
But it's worth the shot, right? It's worth the shot.
Yeah.
And again, I think the going back to what I was saying earlier of the consultant giving the fish and then the coach teaching them how to fish, I have a lot of clients that'll circle back with me and say, hey, I have an additional idea, but guess what, Walt? Here's my SWOT analysis I already did from what you taught me from our first SWOT analysis. So I love it.
And the U.S. Bank is very involved in our community, right?
That is correct.
How you guys are partnered with the Vegas Chamber, then you do get involved quite even more, right? Because I know that there's different events right now that you guys are participating in. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the military?
Yeah,
right?
As you can imagine, it's near and dear to my heart. So the one that comes to mind is our Military Affairs Committee. That's actually a subgroup or sub-entity of the Vegas Chamber, led by Chris Crooks, who's our chairman. So every year, as a matter of fact, May 14th is our next one. So next Tuesday is the MAC Night Out. And during that time, as a sponsor, U.S. Bank, we get to sponsor one individual from either Nellis or Creech Air Force Base. And we're actually contributing to the overall event. And at this event, we get to highlight the amazing accomplishments these men and women have, gone through or have done in the calendar year. And again, as you can imagine, that opportunity resonates with me because at one point I wasn't wearing this suit, I was wearing a different uniform, right? And I remember many civic leaders from financial institutions to local politicians and things of that nature were giving back to us. And I always wanted to be in a position to where whether it was for me directly or part of an organization that was cut from that servant leadership cloth and put in a position to give back. And I think that's what makes this event phenomenal.
No, that's great. Well, I remember also meeting with you doing our coaching sessions, and I told you, here's the direction I would like to go.
Right.
And it didn't matter what I said to you. You're looking into your network on how you can connect me.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Even for certifications, like, hey, there might be a grant out there.
Right.
Or what if U.S. Bank actually sponsors you in this particular area?
Exactly.
That's a lot of involvement you guys are willing to do.
Yeah, and again, that's a key highlight because a lot of people don't know, a lot of business owners don't know. I either check this box as a woman-owned business or a woman minority-owned business, right?
Right.
Or woman, minority-owned, and veteran-owned business, right?
Right.
These three pillars. And it's all tied back into our initiative from U.S. Bank and our commitment. We actually took this program led by our supplier diversity team from our merger and acquisition with Union Bank in the state of California.
Okay.
So we just basically saw value in that and what Union Bank was doing as a local community bank, and we wanted to take that to a national front with our initiative. And again, no strings attached.
Right.
It's just us truly empowering, that local business owner for he or she.
Another highlight that I want to make here is that, as business owners, we become so busy sometimes, right?
Yes.
And then we have to pivot. So there are times where I schedule an appointment, my intentions are there that we're supposed to meet once a week, but then there's times where I can't.
Right.
You have a lot of flexibility, and I do appreciate that because you understand the small business
Yes, ma'am.
community. So how hard or how easy is it to reschedule with you?
It's definitely a challenge because I'll be honest, right now our team is limited with how
Right.
many business goals coaches we have. But again, there's a workaround anything that may happen. And respectfully, there's been times where you've understood,
Right.
Last minute 11th hour changes I had to ask Miss Laura for. So we will find a way. And one of those examples are maybe we just communicate via email in lieu of the next reschedule. And I'll do my very best to align with your availability. And of course, as I mentioned, from the landing page in itself at Explore My Goals, is a way to reschedule, or we can, kind of do that behind the scenes.
And then you're also going to be involved probably as a sponsor, I would take it, as for the Business Expo.
That is correct.
Okay,
Yes,
with the
yes.
Vegas Chamber.
Yeah.
So when is that one?
And that is scheduled, if I'm not mistaken, June 26th.
Okay.
Yeah, the Business Expo it's going to be at the World
Market Center?
Market Center. Yeah, downtown. And I'm really looking forward to that again because it allows small to medium-sized business owners to showcase their services, right? Have an exhibit table, do the meet and greet and things of that nature. And again, looking at that dynamic, I truly feel, and I'm sure you and many of my colleagues can echo this point, is those men and women, those entities in the room are the backbone of our economy here locally.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes you guys even sponsor individuals to join the Vegas Chamber.
That
So
is
tell
correct.
us a little bit about that.
That is correct. That is
Yeah.
correct. So I know we were, as oftentimes, when I'm talking to my business owners or my colleagues or clients that I'm working with, they're asking about grants.
Right.
And what direction I can point them to, whether that be, our connections at score.org or maybe something internally. One of the internal grants that we do have is if a certain business meets the requirements and that we have, aligned to the grant, then we'll pay for their first year at the Vegas Chamber, their first year membership.
Wow. Do you guys do
Yeah.
that for any other chamber, or is it just right now the Vegas
Just right
Chamber?
now for the Vegas Chamber, tied into our commitment and our partnership, but we are definitely looking at replicating the same process to the various other chambers here in
Yeah,
town.
but the Vegas Chamber is one of the largest that we have for
That
the
is
state
true.
of Nevada, so it makes sense for you guys to be there as well.
That is true.
What if there's a nonprofit organization out there that also is thinking, God, this, goals coaching would be good for me?
Yeah.
Do you guys offer that for nonprofits as well?
Yeah, so great
So-
question. Yes, the same grant opportunities offered to 501c3s as well as the coaching services in themselves. And I think the coaching dynamic is definitely of value in that support for a 501c3 or a nonprofit. When you look at planning your board and what that structure
Right,
looks
yeah.
like. The way I show up, though, as a coach and consultant is I treat that nonprofit the same way I would coach a for-profit entity.
Yeah, it's a
Also said
business.
differently, right? I'm treating them with the same resources that, say, a business on Wall Street would get versus them on Main Street. And I think that's important, how we show up.
Great. Can we go ahead and share with our audience your phone number and how they can get a hold of you again?
Yeah, so my phone number that is 702 371-7159. I think it just
7159. You got it.
Got it. We just recently updated, so forgive me. Yeah. So you can call me directly, text me directly, or my email address, or again, like I said, from a macro standpoint, go directly to our landing page at usbank.com/explore my goals.
Awesome. And in closing, what would you like to share with our audience if they're just thinking of maybe starting a business, or maybe they're thinking about going into the banking industry?
Oh, wow.
So
Wow, yeah.
I don't know, in closing, what would you like to share with the audience?
I think one thing in closing I will say is just leverage the resources that are out there. There's a lot of, I don't want to say ego, but trepidation in the fact that I don't know what I don't know, and I'm shy, and I don't know how to, my idea is too small, or, no, I can't commoditize this. Let's have the conversation. Let's see, and let's definitely take that first step forward, because I've come across many people that have amazing ideas, and I'm like, wow, we might have something here.
Right.
Let's take that idea from a happy hour napkin into an enterprise, is what I'll say.
No, awesome. And once again, Walt, thank you so much
Thank you.
for just taking time out of your very busy schedule.
Ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay,
As a matter of
to
fact,
be
I
here
do got
with
to
us.
run.
Yes,
In
no.
a couple minutes. Yeah.
But thank you so much
Yeah.
for being here. Make sure that you catch us on YouTube at CS Now Staffing. Also, you can catch us on WWDB TV and Roku. And so we do release these videos every Friday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So make sure that you check in and see who we're interviewing next, right? And I'm just glad to share to the world that there is Walt out there, and he's
Yes.
a wonderful coach. Once again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, you have a great day.
Bye, everyone.